These creatures are called Albertosaurus. Weighing up to 3 tons and known for their elusive and ferocious nature, they are even more brutal than the Gorgosaurus. They hunt in packs, and after months without food, they were determined to feast. Suddenly, heavy rain began to pour, further hindering the Edmontosaurus herd's progress. Yet they pressed on. However, for some in the herd, this would be their final journey. The hungry predators had been lying in wait, and the rain masked their scent, leaving the lead Edmontosaurus unaware of the danger. As they moved forward, the unexpected happened. The Albertosaurus ambushed them, catching the herd completely off guard. Panic erupted, and chaos ensued. Though the Edmontosaurus tried to flee, the Albertosaurus were too powerful, and most of the herd stood no chance, falling victim to the predator's deadly jaws. Amid the chaos, the Albertosaurus set their sights on Jack. After all, even the smallest prey is still meat. They lunged at him, but Jack's small size allowed him to slip through a narrow gap in the rocks, narrowly escaping. However, the predators weren't ready to give up. Just as Jack thought he was safe, the cunning Albertosaurus reappeared. Terrified, Jack instinctively turned and ran, but the predator was hot on his heels. At that moment, the restless volcano erupted. Nearby ice and snow rapidly melted into deadly torrents, mixing with ash and rocks as they cascaded down the mountainside. The Albertosaurus, focused solely on chasing Jack, was oblivious to the approaching danger. Suddenly, a burning branch fell from the sky, striking the Albertosaurus. Though flames briefly engulfed its body, the predator shook them off and continued its pursuit. Exhausted but driven by sheer will to survive, Jack kept running. However, his path was soon blocked by a steep riverbank. Despite his efforts, he couldn't climb it. He was still just a juvenile. This gave the Albertosaurus the perfect opportunity to strike. As the predator closed in, Jack, in a desperate burst of energy, managed to scramble up the bank. Just then, a massive flood of water, ash, and debris surged down the mountain, sweeping the Albertosaurus away. The predator struggled to escape, but was quickly engulfed and carried off into the distance. Though Jack had narrowly escaped death, he was now separated from his herd. In the aftermath of the disaster, the landscape was littered with the bodies of fallen dinosaurs. For a young and vulnerable dinosaur like Jack, survival alone in this harsh environment seemed nearly impossible. He had no idea what to do next. However, hope returned when an elderly Edmontosaurus appeared. Together, they pressed on, though the path ahead remained fraught with uncertainty and danger. They weren't the only survivors of the disaster. The Albertosaurus that had been swept away by the flood had somehow survived. It would surely seek revenge. As the two Edmontosaurus continued their journey, they noticed a massive footprint. Judging by the scent, another dinosaur was nearby. Unsure whether it was friend or foe, they grew tense and cautiously scouted ahead. Soon, the mysterious dinosaur revealed itself. It was a Pacarinosaurus, also separated from its herd. Sharing a similar plight, the Pacarinosaurus generously offered to share its food, inviting the two Edmontosaurus to feast on some delicious leaves. The trio formed a temporary alliance and continued their journey together. After days of arduous travel, they finally caught sight of the main herd in the distance. They quickened their pace, but the Albertosaurus was still trailing them, hungry and relentless. As they pressed on, the Pacarinosaurus, weakened by the long journey, eventually fell behind and disappeared. Jack and the elderly Edmontosaurus could do nothing to help. As time passed, the two dinosaurs drew closer to their destination. But just as they thought they were safe, the Albertosaurus caught up to them, determined not to let its prey escape again.